from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Is this the tether?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The top HBCU football game this weekend will be in Washington, D.C. North Carolina Central is at Howard on Saturday, 12:30 kickoff local time. You can catch the game live on ESPNU. NC Central is the number 1 off and the 6-2 Detroit Lions. A win puts the 4-4 Chargers over 500 for the first time this season. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 invites you to join us in celebrating the season of giving by being part of the solution. As we enjoy great food, family, warmth, and well wishes in whatever our festive tradition may be, we share the beauty of the season by reaching out to the less fortunate. Please help us to help others with the KBLA Cover the Houseless Cozy Community Coat and Blanket Drive. All you have to do is drop off new or clean, gently used winter coats and blankets in the KBLA lobby during business hours. Now through December 20th, all of the coats and blankets will be donated to unsheltered individuals and families experiencing houselessness. Simply bring your donation to 4434 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles, near Vernon Avenue, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. That's 4434 Crenshaw in historic Leimert Park. During the holidays and every day, let's remember, we keep us safe. We keep us warm. We are the safety net, and together we can cover the unsheltered. Get caught up in the spirit of the season, the spirit of love. Make a difference with your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule. 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DePrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. With hopes that black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the move. So we tune in to First Things First with the Queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DePrima. Go sis.
First things first.
Good morning. God bless. I'm Dominique DePrima. This show is called First Things First. And my first thing today, my first thing every day, giving thanks, giving praises, asking for blessings from the Most High, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders and getting it started. We've got a lot to talk about. That's every day, every day, every day. Hour one, we usually look local, left coast. What's going on around here, as they say. Hour two, we go national, international, beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest or a hot topic. Today is both. And of course, the phone lines are always open. You are invited in. I'm super, super excited to talk to you always. 800-920-1580. Whether you're yelling at me or showing me love, I still want to talk to you. 800-920-1580. Our hour three today, we'll be talking with Zara Ballou. We're going to be getting the Council on American Islamic Relations take on what's going on between Palestine and Israel. This woman is brilliant. I heard her on MSNBC, and we had to track her down, get some really very well-considered insights about what's going on over there. If you're confused, if you've got questions, if you have ideas or thoughts, I invite you into that space, hour three. Also, today is Monday, so we do Mindful Monday, setting our intention, getting our minds right for the week with Sahara Ali. So it's a lot going on. Partner in politics today, straight out of Pasadena, And live in the studio, he's a journalist, a producer, a film documentarian, and a member of the National Association of Black Journalists. Also see him online at The Conversation Live, and you can see his work at the Los Angeles Progressive, which is a great publication. James Farr, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique. How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored. How are you?
You know what? I'm here with you. I'm doing great.
It's funny. We were talking, just walking and talking, coming into the station today, that you drove from Pasadena and that 10 freeway. I decided to go to Pasadena yesterday to see my girlfriend, Sahara Ali. OMG. I was stuck on that 10 freeway. Well, I was stuck on the 110 trying to get to the 10 because of the fire on the freeway. There's, I guess there's a couple of, warehouse storage type things under the freeway that set fire. There was about 15 homeless encampments.
Yeah, well, I reduced my carbon footprint and ride shared but for coming to have this great conversation and dialogue with you, I don't think I would have been risking being out in the traffic because I heard about it yesterday. So.
Yeah, it was really bad. And, all the apps, Waze and Google Maps, they didn't have it. They're like, take the 10. I'm like, no, I'm not taking the 10. I just got off that mess. No. So it's good. It tests your brain back to, do I know my way around LA?
Did you break out the Thomas Guide?
If I had it, I have it somewhere, but not in the car I'm driving right now. If I had it, no, I had to break out the brain, and it got me home. But look, if you can stay home, do it. I mean, if you can work from home. So I'm very grateful that you're actually here in person today.
I'm glad. Honored to be here with you, Dominic, as always.
Very grateful, and I'm grateful that I live in South LA, so it's not too far for me to get here to Leimert Park. So it's election season, and it feels weird because I usually think of, election season being in June. I mean, the election in June, so the election season starts after the holidays, right?
Well, it never stops.
Well, yeah, that's true. And that's really irritating, actually. I mean, don't you think?
I mean, it never stops because, there's constant campaigning.
Yeah.
There's constant pandering. There's constant deflecting. I mean, it's a perpetual cycle. And so the public tends to think, perhaps like what you're saying, is it has a season like Christmas.
It should have a season. It should have. And Christmas is constantly pandering now, too. Christmas decorations go up at Labor Day now.
What it really
WTF?
What it really is, Dominic, it's what I call and refer to as promise season for politics. It's those campaigning and those who are all incumbents this is the time that they
otherwise known as prevarication season.
Yes, they're making a lot of promises, so now is the time.
In the words of Rihanna, I like the way you lie. Yeah, but you know what? I think you're right. The reason that troubles me is because if we're constantly in election and campaign mode, when are the lawmakers getting work done on behalf of the people?
When they're not campaigning.
Which is when?
Never. I mean, they're always campaigning, right? And so, I mean, they're not writing the bills anyway. The lobbyists do that. So you got to peel back out.
That's such a cynical point of view.
Is it cynical or is it the truth? Or could it be both?
Well, I don't know. I've never held elected office, and I do notice that some people, like the mayor of LA, do seem to get things done. I don't want to, stereotype all politicians, but I feel like, especially since we got the term limits here in California, it actually hasn't helped. It's done just the opposite because they're always looking for their next job.
And that's what it is. They're campaigning to campaign. But, you spoke to Mayor Bass. I mean, she's a doer, all right? Her history speaks for herself. So we're not surprised at the outcomes. And, it's refreshing and also, being cynical again about politics. Someone actually campaigns on a promise and actually delivers.
Right.
We're not, we're like, what's your angle? Right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But I don't do that with our mayor. I mean, I do my best to be a journalist and be objective, not objective, fair. Objectivity is a myth. It's a unicorn.
Right.
But I do my best to be fair. But I don't do that with Mayor Bass. I mean, I try to be fair with her too, but I've seen her work. So it's not like you wonder, you know what I mean? From sitting on the board of the Community Coalition back in the day, I've seen her work. So I know she's not one of these all talk, all press conference, no stake type.
Sure. I mean, and you have to, as a journalist, right? You have to critique, challenge, push back, right?
Right.
But
even
you
the
can do
ones
all
you
of that
support.
without attacking, right?
Well, yeah, you can. I mean, I say well because I always say we should critique the policy and not the person.
Absolutely.
But with certain individuals, like, say, the 45th president, I really have a hard time sticking to that. That is my promise to myself. Attack the policy, not the person. But some of them, you're just like, you know, the Joe Manchins, he who shall not be named of the world.
They provide enough material that you could just, you know, let them lose on their own, right? Like, I mean, it's granted, it's something to be taken very serious. I mean, we're less than a year away from electing the next president of the United States, right? We're 14 days away from the primary election in March 5th of 2024. Yeah. So, you know, stuff is getting real, right?
Yeah, stuff is getting real, but I don't think that we, the public, I'm putting myself in that category, even though I'm on the radio, so it's my job to track this stuff. I don't think we, the public, are in the rhythm of this new election schedule. And to be honest with you, I know you are. You're really tuned into it, so I'm glad you're here because we have to. I mean, once we get through New Year's and all the holidays, it'll be right in our face. I think the remote voting starts in February, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, and you certainly, I would invite you to speak with some folks with the acronyms behind their name who are far more smarter than me, but I believe that's why they call it political science, right? So there's a method to the madness of what happens in the cycle. So to your point, by the time February comes around, late January, we've MLK dated, we've eaten all over the holidays, we look up, and now we have to make a choice of who we're going to vote for. And in some respects, that's what a lot of the candidates are banking on. They don't want you to know, right? They don't want you to know what their policy is.
Except for the ones that are lesser known who are desperately trying to get their name out right now. But yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm glad you're here because you are tracking it really closely. We're going to look at some of these races and get you ready before Black Friday and all the distractions. Start getting you ready. But you're actually having a candidate forum regarding your home turf, as they say, of Pasadena.
Yeah, absolutely. In collaboration with the Pasadena City College Pre-Law Club and their forensics and debate team, we put together a student-led candidates forum for the 41st Assembly District because what we wanted to do was to bring the candidates to the students to the candidates in a real-world exercise with real-world outcomes. So
students put it together, but you're moderating.
I'm moderating, but the students wrote the questions.
Okay.
My thumb's not on any of these questions. My fingers aren't on any of these questions. You know, I was told by one that I have to be the adult in the room, right? But these are very much professional debaters in terms of the students. Very smart. I had an opportunity to spend some time on campus with them. They've wrote some pretty detailed questions.
We'll talk a little bit more about that race when we come forward. That's Chris Holden's seat.
Yes, Chris Holden.
And so it's going to be highly contested. There's quite a few candidates. It will be interesting to see which way it goes. But that forum is on Tuesday, November 14th. Which is tomorrow. From 6 to 8 in Lecture Hall R122. I'll let you explain how to get to Lecture Hall R122 when we come forward. Like anytime I go to a college campus, I know get here half an hour early because you don't know how to get where campuses are confusing unless you go to school there. But tomorrow, 6 to 8, find out about those candidates for Assembly District 41. Shots fired. That should be quite an interesting conversation. James Farr is with me. Speaking of conversation, we'll keep it going when we come forward. You're invited in. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. We are unapologetically progressive. KBLA. Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominic DePrima when we come forward. We've got a lot to talk about.
race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice and injustice, the courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities, and sports figures, elected leaders, and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Ariva Martin in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Ariva Martin in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up.
Discover, this is Daniela.
Hi, it's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great, but with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Do you like asparagus and mushroom sorbet? I've got leftovers.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
She's so smooth, so... I'm interrupting my own shower to remind you to treat your skin like the queen she is with Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash, packed with Olay's highest level of vitamin B3 complex. It's so moisturizing that it will give you visibly smoother, head-turning skin in just 14 days. People wondering, how'd she get so smooth? Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash. Also, try Olay Hyaluronic Body Lotion.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DePrima right now.
Right now, also back to James Farr, host of The Conversation Live, and he is a journalist. You can see his pieces in the LA Progressive, among other places. Yeah, good point, James Farr. I saw the flyer for tomorrow's event at Pasadena City College, the candidate forum, and it did look like you're running. So are you running? Like it had all these candidates and then you?
Well, Dominic, I laughed at when I saw it. Some have asked me, are you seriously running? My phone blew up the next morning, right? But I am absolutely not running.
Okay. Well, yeah, because it would be highly unusual for one of the candidates to moderate the forum. But the way that flyer looks, it looks like, or not flyer, I guess it's a news.
It's a news article.
Yeah. Well, they definitely made it look like you are a candidate. I wouldn't be surprised if you get some votes.
You know what? Me either, but I have no interest in holding any office. And that's not, that's not someone campaigning with a yet on the end of it. That's a period.
Yeah,
zero,
period,
right?
full stop.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the forum for District 41 of the California Assembly is tomorrow from 6 to 8. Lecture Hall R122. Are we going to have a hard time finding it?
No, you always want to give yourself some time, like as you were saying, coming on to the campus. But if you can find the quad, it's in the R building.
Okay.
So it's pretty easy to, but to your point, PCC is no different. The A building is next to the B building. It may be next to the Z building.
Right,
so
right. It's all spread
be
out.
a little confusing.
But near the quad, that's helpful. And then I don't know a lot about these other two candidates, Honorable John Harabedian and the Honorable Jed Liano. I know a little bit about Flente Riddle, Dr. Flente Riddle, who used to work for the Pasadena Police Department, was an officer.
Yes.
And was over their comms department. I know she has a lot of endorsements, including that of Chris Holden. I have reservations because she was instrumental in justifying or covering up the killing of Kendrick McDade.
You're speaking of Kendrick McDade.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do on this one is
you're the moderator.
I'm going to focus on the the form, right? And not necessarily go into that because I think all of the candidates, Jed, who is currently a council member in Claremont, John Arbenian is a former city council member and mayor of Sierra Madre, and then Dr. Riddle. I think what's important to focus on in this particular race is the legacy and the work of Chris Holden, right? And some of the reformative bills that he passed in terms of police policy and legislation. And so my interest, I too have to vote for one of these three, right? So I want to know who I'm voting for. So I'm just as curious as these students are. And I'm interested to know I've interviewed a couple of them, and I'm going to sit down with John. So I'm curious to know how they will continue that, where we share common interests in terms of police reform, police accountability. That's an important point for me, right? But that's not the whole of the 41st district.
No doubt. Are you guys going to stream it? Can we watch it?
Yeah, we will be able to watch it on Conversation Live on Facebook as well as Conversation Live on YouTube.
Okay, that's good stuff. Speaking of, politics, you've been around it your whole life. Your dad was a politician, right?
I wouldn't call him a politician. He was an elected official, and I think I think I understand the difference.
Distinction. Okay.
I think I understand the difference because he was a terrible politician, and he was for the people that elected him, and that showed up in his work. And it's
which is Contra Costa Community College Board. That's in the Bay area. But, I mean, you grew up around it. Maybe that's why you've decided you don't want to be either a politician or an elected official.
I'm good where I'm at, right? But, 50 years ago, he first got into office as a young, I think he was 28 at that time. And, it was a major feat in that area to be an incumbent, a lawyer out of Walnut Creek. And then, since everything's digital now for the most part, I've been able to read his body of work over the 4 terms that he served. And now I'm kind of reflectively looking at, I was that kid at those meetings playing with my Tonka trucks and my Transformers and, kind of having that duality of going in community and then also into these political spaces. And so it has always interested me, but I have no interest in being a politician, elected official, or in his case, a pastor, which he, I think, did all of them very well, with the exception of being a politician.
Double PK, politician's kid and pastor's kid.
Not a double PK.
A double PK. I think it does inform our work. You know that I always talk about that. Your father, your family also involved in activism. So whatever we do, wherever we go, it touches us, I believe, in some way, whether you're a plumber or a rapper or a journalist, that background coming from conscious and engaged families, it changes things.
It certainly informs you, right? And as you often say, you're a child of the movement, right? We're children of the movement, right? And I'm waiting on you to write that book because I want to read about others with shared experiences.
I'm writing it. It's just taking forever. I'm writing it. It takes me like 1 chapter per decade.
decade. Okay, all right.
No, I'm just playing. But look, we do have you have your eyes on some of our LA races as well.
It's pretty interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and to me, obviously, the most controversial is the Council District 14, where controversial, disgraced racist city council member Kevin De Leon faces a pretty big field of challengers. And the thing about it, to me, is that De Leon, most people in his position would have already stepped down. I mean, President Biden has called for him to step down, but he continues to get quite a few donations, and it was really interesting to see the article from LA Times where they show that most of his donations were coming from outside of his district.
Well, outside of in any election, right, is usually the case, right? The influence and the resources don't necessarily pour from within, right? And when we look at the 14th district, I don't expect that, folks would be supporting him outwardly, right? Who wants their name on that roll when those financials come out? But you're right. You would have thought he would have just resigned and walked away disgracefully, but power has never conceded that way. I know you.
Well, Nori Martinez stepped down.
She did. And she
Ron Herrera stepped down from the LA Fed, which is one of the most powerful spots.
Sure.
In the entire county of Los Angeles, really on the West Coast.
Sure. I think there was different pressure points, right?
Yeah, true.
And once Nori Martinez stepped down, that actually lightened, kind of deflated the situation because someone stepped down, right? And so...
So you think that Ron Herrera and Nuri Martinez provided cover for Kevin De Leon. And Gil Cedillo, of course, had already been voted out by the people before the scandal with the racist, anti-renter, anti-indigenous, anti-LGBT, et cetera, tape.
It certainly provided Councilmember De Leon a different option, right?
Interesting. Well, apparently, if you could call it an option. I am really mad at Assembly Member Wendy Carrillo because she went and got herself a DUI. And in my opinion, she was the front runner in the race, other than obviously the incumbent.
Sure.
She's coming from the assembly. She's got her great reputation, young, progressive, strong with African-American voters and ties. DUI, really?
Well,
she's still running.
Didn't Councilmember De Leon say he made a mistake, something to that effect, and that's not who he is?
Yeah, but he's had, a year?
I know.
I mean, come on now. The week before you filed, you getting a DUI?
It is very, disturbing,
How does she overcome that? I just don't see it.
You know what? I don't know. I mean, I think her track record should speak for her, and we're in such a space now, right? If the choice is this or that, right? We've seen that
I'd take a drunk Wendy Carrillo over a sober Kevin De Leon any day, but I don't know that, first of all, I don't live in the 14th, so I don't get a vote, but also I don't know if everyone else feels that way. I mean, it does go to judgment. You could just call an Uber. It's really not that serious.
It certainly was poor judgment, right? And it doesn't have to be there, right? And she made a choice, and she'll have to deal with those consequences. But, I know you spent some time out at the encampment in front of Kevin De Leon's home. I spent some time out there. I talked to his neighbors. They don't want him.
Yeah, that's true. And it's probably a big opening for Assemblymember Miguel Santiago, who is likely the most well-known person in the race and did some real serious work campaigning for Mayor Karen Bass. When you talk about that alliance coalition between Black and Brown, we only have just a couple seconds before news, traffic, and sports, but weigh in on some of these other council races. And we got some county battles coming up as well.
You got county, and you also have the 10th district here in Los Angeles.
Right. We'll touch on that when we come forward.
Councilman Marquise Dawson. So we can talk about all of that.
Right, exactly. News, traffic, and sports. Hard stop right now. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominic DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Donald Trump Jr. is set to return to court as the first defense witness in the Trump Organization's civil fraud trial in New York City. Lawyers representing former President Donald Trump, his sons, and their company are set to start their defense today. The Trump Family Organization is being accused of inflating their wealth to obtain better loans. Well, Maryland is taking steps to make sure people never forget some dark days in history. Montgomery County added more markers Saturday to honor two black men kidnapped from jail by a mob and lynched. One was in 1880, the other in 1896. A local leader called it long overdue, saying it may have been a different time back then, but the scars are still evident today. A similar marker is in front of a church. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Make your next lunch a lunch combo from Buffalo Wild Wings. Choose from wings, street tacos, and more. Head to Buffalo Wild Wings or order online at buffalowildwings.com. At participating locations for a limited time, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Price and participation vary by location. Taxes extra. See menu for details.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers beat Portland last night without LeBron. A left calf contusion kept LeBron in street clothes. In his absence, the Lakers got 30 points and 13 rebounds from Anthony Davis. There are some serious issues going on with the Clippers. Memphis handed the Clippers their fifth straight loss. The Clippers are 0-4 since trading for James Harden. Harden had only 11 points. He was 4-12 from the floor, including just 1 for 7 on three-pointers. The Chargers scored touchdowns on their last 5 possessions Sunday, but still lost to the Detroit Lions. How is that possible? The Lions got a field goal at the buzzer to win it at SoFi. The Chargers defense gave up 533 yards in total offense and allowed the Lions to make 4 fourth-down conversions. Going to be a long week for the Chargers defense in the film room. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Meet LA's most affordable health plan. This open enrollment season, LA Care Covered is proud to offer the lowest cost health plans in Los Angeles County, featuring zero cost preventive services to help you achieve your wellness goals. Be part of the region's largest HMO network, featuring UCLA Health, Optum, and allied physicians without breaking the bank. We are here to help. Call us at 855-222-4239 for enrollment assistance. That's 855-222-4239. LA Care Covered. Your wellness, our mission.
In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, children are the future. Here, tobacco companies are committed to higher education, offering scholarships to students who submit essays about the benefits of vaping. The tobacco industry even sponsors summer camps for kids. Don't worry, the tobacco-sponsored programs have been linked to leaving your kids more interested in smoking. In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, the world's deadliest industry is your child's friend.
See reality at undo.org.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Beloved Entertainment presents Sweet Spot Live with Angelique Francis, host of KBLA's Living in the Sweet Spot at the beautiful Miracle Theater, 226 South Market Street in Inglewood, Sunday, November 19th at 6 p.m. Join me, Tavis Smiley, and KBLA Talk 1580 for real short stories told live on stage by our own storytellers, straight from the neighborhood, celebrating our unique culture, our strengths, our courage, our faith, and, of course, our fire. Come walk with us through the neighborhoods, sit at our kitchen tables, even run with us down our dark alleys if you dare. But just know that in the sweet spot, there is love and laughter, joy and pain, secrets never told. Again, that's Sweet Spot Live with Angelique Francis Francis, Sunday, November 19th at the Miracle Theater, 226 South Market Street in Inglewood at 6 p.m. Tickets available at sweetspotlive.eventbrite.com. That's sweetspotlive.eventbrite.com. Sweet Spot Live, we've got a lot to talk about.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And welcome in. You're invited, even though it's Monday and you probably got a lot going on. Hopefully you're trying to convince yourself, your boss, or your colleagues that you can work from home, because that 10 freeway and any freeway that crosses over it, especially the 5, the 110, the 710, are going to be crazy because the 10 is still closed from that fire. And the mayor said it might be a minute. Governor Newsom, with a state of emergency, it could be weeks.
Yeah, it's estimated 300,000 cars, travel through there on a daily. I mean, that's a major artery within our area. So, we've seen that we can work from home. Some of us were forced to before, so it shouldn't be much of difficulty, right, for agencies and organizations to make that switch and keep folks off the road for a while, because it will be quite some time. I mean, this isn't a quick fix.
No, they've got to do an investigation, which they said would be done by 6 o'clock this morning. Then they have to do. They have to look at the structural damage, make sure that the freeway won't collapse. They've got to figure out if there's toxic stuff that was released from those warehouses. I mean, it's a whole process, and then shore up the structure. So, it could be weeks, months.
Yeah, I was going to say, what they didn't say is what you're saying is months, right? So this is well into 2024.
Well, the mayor said it's not fast, and the governor declared a state of emergency. That right there should give you a clue. This is pretty serious. Yeah, time to work from home. Time to go back to Zoom. All right, so we got a lot of races in a little time. We won't get through all these. You'll have to come back. But at least we're getting your mind around the fact that there is an election on March 5th.
Yes.
That's
113 days away. And today, what's important is filing happens today, right? This is the day that candidates can officially pull papers. Many of what we've been talking about, they're nothing more than declarations. Hey, I'm going to run,
right?
Right. And so some of them may have opened up, filed initial paperwork so that they could start receiving campaign funds. But today is the day, and it goes between now and December, I want to say 8th, before, those applications are certified, and that's how we find out who will be on our ballots, and we'll get those mailed out in the early part of December. So right along with your Christmas cards and everything else, you get a chance to.
Oh boy, it's robocall season.
Right.
It's the only time Magic Johnson ever calls me.
You know what? I thought that was just me,
Magic.
right?
No shade, Magic. I still love you.
I answered excited, right?
Oh, Antonio Viragosa, Magic Johnson. So great to hear from you.
Yeah.
So, a hot topic, of course, Council District 10.
Yes.
Where we lost our elected council member, Mark Ridley Thomas, to an indictment conviction. Now he's under appeal. So, after all the machinations, Heather Hutt has been in that seat as the voting replacement, and she will run as an incumbent.
Yes, she will.
But a bunch of people are teeing up to run for that spot.
It certainly looks that way, and I guess on some level, I think, when ambition and the desire to kind of step out there presents itself for some, it may, in this case, adversely affect the district because, may actually lose the black representation in that seat.
Right, because the black vote is splintered. I think Reggie Jones Sawyer has indicated he'll run.
Yes.
The assembly member, Pastor Eddie Anderson of the McCarty Memorial Church.
Yes.
A popular progressive pastor, very young. Of course, Jones Sawyer, a veteran lawmaker who's been in the assembly. And we expect others.
Absolutely.
Who are not black to be running.
Absolutely. And so, I think the incumbent council member Hutt has, done a good job, in representing the district, just tracking some of her issues. I know she's, fallen out of favor on some police issues at times, but, that kind of comes with the territory. But it'll be interesting to see. I think this race, as well as the Councilmember De Leon's district,
14, yeah.
14 will certainly be runoffs, right? So there's
really
these fields are too.
You believe that CD10 will go to a runoff?
I think so.
Interesting.
I really do.
Yeah, I guess I expect Grace Yu, probably.
Mm-hmm.
She ran against MRT and actually gave him a run for his money.
Yes.
So she's, I don't know, I haven't followed her closely, but she's considered progressive or at least liberal, and she's Korean American. That's the thing about CD10. It is a very diverse district.
Probably one of the most diverse, right? In terms of we cross up, just around the Wilshire corridor on down into South LA. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, no one will win outright in many of the races that we're going to be talking about and have talked about. You can expect runoffs in those races, which then again plays back into the presidential election. So get ready for.
Right, that means those will be in November.
Yes, November.
Which means more voters, which is actually good for progressives.
It's good overall.
If any of us get through March. You still got to get through the primary.
It's good for it overall. But what, again, going back to what we were saying about bringing in younger voters, right? That's the real trepidation right now is, will young folks show up to the polls, right? Are they so dejected? And I've spent some time with that group, and they're looking at the, I forget we're on radio, so I can't say what I want to say, but the show, right, that they've seen for the last 4 years, so if you're 22, 24, 28, think about how their parents, us, right, and grandparents and great-grandparents have modeled for them. So they're either with it or they don't want anything to do with it.
Right. Either they want to be like you or they want to be the opposite of you.
Right.
My child is incredibly politically engaged, but I don't know if he'll vote because what you're saying, disillusionment, I feel like, and this will be his first time to be able to vote, I feel like that the situation in the Middle East is going to hurt the Democratic Party with young voters mightily.
DNC is in trouble.
Yeah, mightily. They are completely out of touch. They're in a different freaking century than young people. They literally have they're doing 20th century politics with 21st century kids.
Completely out of touch.
Yep.
And in trouble.
Yeah.
I think let me say that again.
As they say.
Are in trouble.
Yeah. That's and it makes me sad because, it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't, but
they have to listen. They've got to adjust, but they don't. They're doing, their 20th century playbook from Cuba to Israel to Haiti.
We've seen it before.
It's a problem. It's a huge problem.
Which makes your favorite president, the 45th, a real threat.
Oh yeah, he's a threat. But I think. I'm hoping that young people, even if they skip the top of the ticket, will still vote down ballot.
They have to be engaged, right? They have to be informed, right? And so on a very micro level, maybe 20, 40, 30, 100, whatever will show up tomorrow night at this candidates forum. I don't know, right? But we got to start with one, right? And hopefully they can influence their circle. And so I would love to see on that macro level, as you said, the DNC did more, right? Did differently, like got with the times and actually, stop lecturing and start listening and talking with young folks and not at them.
That moment where a reporter walked up to President Biden and said, will you support a ceasefire? And he said no in the most snarky, very fast, dismissive way.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that was a doom moment for Biden's candidacy.
Well, he's a curmudgeon, right?
He's no, absolutely not. Peace? Stop killing babies? No, that's off the table.
Well,
that is so tone deaf, not just to American young people, but to the entire global community.
But look at what our choices are, Dominique. I mean, it's
it's crazy because I'm always talking bad about people that don't vote, but I'm like, can I vote for Biden?
Well,
can I vote for Biden? You know what young people are calling him, right? Genocide Joe.
Well, I was, that's a little bit different than Jim Crow Joe, right? I mean, so.
Well, yeah, because Jim Crow Joe is, we
like Jim Crow Joe.
Jim Crow Joe is a bit of a smear because he's definitely updated those politics, but
sure.
I don't know that he's updated. Well, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we're in trouble, right? I mean, the next year is going to be a ride politically, and having spent some time in other parts of the country, we really get sanitized political ads here. I watch stuff in other states and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, that's scary. Okay, when we come forward, we have to talk about at least council district. I mean, a supervisorial district too. Holly Mitchell is running for re-election too, and of course that's a huge, very blackety black district.
Yes.
That's next on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
Discover, this is Danny.
Hi, it's Jen Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great. But with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Are you hungry? Because everyone left after the asparagus sorbet.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashback debit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
Thinking about hosting a podcast and don't know where to start? Morris Media Studios has you covered. We're a professional podcast and voiceover studio located in Leimert Park. We specialize in recording and live streaming audio and video podcasts. Let us help you set up, record, and distribute your podcast. Hosting a podcast is a great way to bring awareness to your business, product, or good cause. For more info, visit morrismediastudios.com or give us a call at 323-815-4204.
The City of Los Angeles Civil Rights Department and its LA Repair Participatory Budgeting Program invite nonprofit organizations to submit proposals to turn community ideas into reality. More than $5.4 million is available to make a difference in the Arleta, Pacoima, Westlake, Skid Row, South LA, Leimert Park, and Harbor areas. Don't wait. Proposals are due on November 29th at noon. To apply, visit repair.lacity.gov. LA Repair gives people real power over real money. Visit repair.lacity.gov.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
Alrighty, so we're talking about the LA County Board of Supervisors. It's confusing if you don't pay attention. County, mental health, the jails, the the courts. They run a lot of things, and then city government. Municipal stuff, streets and trees and buses and things like that. So I'm not sure. I feel like Holly Mitchell, Supervisorial District 2 is pretty safe. I think Holly Mitchell remains very popular. I'm not sure who all has put their hat in the ring to run against her.
Right. And, with today being the day, again, as we said earlier, that filing happens or is open, we'll see more, right? But the supervisor's race races are usually, pretty crowded fields also because, again, their legislative powers are pretty vast here in one of the largest populous counties in the nation. And so there is a lot that has to be done within their role as a supervisor. But over in District 4, Janice Hahn, that's the one that certainly will, if folks are paying attention, will be the most colorful, right? Because our former sheriff, Villanueva, is actually running in that seat. So, we've seen his act before.
Yeah, I mean, Sheriff Villanueva on the L.A. County Board of Supervisors is a train wreck waiting to happen. I don't know that district really well, so I don't know what his chances are. But certainly he's got the name recognition. He has the money in his coffers. Right. That would be a nightmare. It's like electing a Twitter/X troll to the LA Board of Supervisors. Remember, when he was sheriff, all he did was fight with the Board of Supervisors.
That's it, and he would continue to if he gets in the office. But Supervisor Hahn has a legacy, and from a legacy family, and the west side of our county, while it may tend to swing a little bit more liberal, Democratic, obviously there's going to be those pockets of folks that may go more conservative, right?
Yeah. But I think that that black votes are going to play a big role for Supervisor Hahn because, you do have Watts in that district. Mm-hmm. And we are not real fond of Sheriff Villanueva. Also, with Supervisor Hahn's work to get Bruce's Beach back to the Bruce family. I mean, she should have credit for life. If I never ever knew anything else about her, I'd vote for her based on that.
Like I said, it's legacy, right? She's done the work in community, but again, we got to make sure that we get folks registered. We got to make sure that we drive home the importance of voting, right? And if you're not voting, know why you're not voting. But informing us, just I ain't voting, that's not the answer, right?
Yeah. Oh, I feel kind of somewhat bad, but not really bad, because apparently also running in Council District 10 is Channing Martinez, Aura Vasquez, Grace Yu, Dennis Comer, I don't even know who that is, Ron Collins, and we did say Eddie Anderson. But Aura Vasquez is with the LA DWP. She's a commissioner. And, of course, we talked about Grace Yu. So that's really crowded.
It's a crowded field.
Yeah, that's really, really crowded.
And today's filing day, right? So you could expect that it will get even more crowded. And, then maybe there'll be some that'll, like Tim Scott, bail out. Like, hey, this isn't going to work for me. There's no chance.
Like Senator Tim Scott. The girlfriend didn't do it. Okay, when we come forward, we will talk about District 8. City Council District 8, Marquise Harris Dawson, you brought it up. We'll get to that before we let you leave. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit lafla.org. lafla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Beloved Entertainment presents Sweet Spot Live with me, Angelique Francis, at the beautiful Miracle Theater at 226 South Market Street in Inglewood on Sunday, November 19th at 6 p.m. Join me with KBLA for short stories told live on stage with us, by us. Yes, our own storytellers straight from the neighborhood. Colorful and provocative live storytelling event celebrating our unique culture, our strength, our courage, our faith, and yes, our fire. We invite you to walk with us through the neighborhood, even run with us down our dark alleys if you dare. Just around the corner, there is laughter, unspeakable pain, secrets never told. But don't worry. The door is unlocked and we're going to leave the porch light on. That's Sunday, November 19th at the Miracle Theater, 226 Market Street in Inglewood, 6 p.m. Yes, it is all happening right here in the Sweet Spot. Tickets available, sweetspotlive.eventbrite.com, sweetspotlive.eventbrite.com. We got a lot to talk about.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
And we shall keep you posted. Before we run out of time, James Farr, please tell us how to keep in touch with you and remind us about tomorrow's candidates forum there in Pasadena for Assembly District 41.
At James Farr Live on Twitter and, all the socials. And tomorrow evening, 6 p.m., Pasadena City College Lecture Hall, 122, California Assembly District 41 Candidates Forum will be taking place with the Campus Pre-Law Society as well as the Forensics and Debate Team. 6 p.m., if you can't make it, you can watch it on the Conversation Live on YouTube or Facebook.
Nice. Congratulations getting out early on that. Okay, so Council District 8 still in LA, the only majority black district left. Council member Marquise Harris Dawson is the incumbent. He's running against Jahan Epps, we think, Brett Riley. These folks have said they're going to run, but they haven't done the paperwork yet. And Cliff Smith. I don't know a lot about these folks. Cliff Smith, I know he's a part of the Roofers Union. Interesting that we would have a white candidate in the last majority black district in LA.
Sounds like a great art film, right?
I don't know, but I think he's also involved with the community, Coalition for Community Control of the Police. I think he's the leader of that organization.
Right. I think what the residents in District 8 really need to focus on is understanding who they feel is best informed of what their needs are, who they feel will continue to do the best job representing their community. And, I'm just so big on, maybe it's just because I'm an election nerd, right? Like I get into the minutia, the nuance of things. So I encourage people to read, like really understand. It's promise season. Talk to these candidates, right? When they come knock on your door and they want 5 minutes of your time, say, brother, I got something to say to you, right? Like let's really have that discussion.
But you just said it's promise season, so they'll say whatever.
Well, of course.
I mean,
actually, it's really the more informed the question is.
Yeah.
Then you get the answer that you're looking for.
And I do think there is something to be said for just them getting that feedback, and they'll start to think this is important to the people of that district. I had people knocking on my door yesterday. Everybody wants signatures now because once you declare for your council race, I think you need 500 signatures.
It varies from municipality to municipality.
And they have to be verified, which means for 5 you probably need 7 or whatever.
Right.
So it's the signature frenzy right now.
Right. But really, not like perhaps some religious organizations that knock on your door. Maybe you decide to actually, engage in this conversation. Right. But I'm serious though, really write that question down. Like, if you had an opportunity to speak to the representative who represents you in government, what would you ask them?
Yep. Well, it's time for news, traffic, and sports. James Farr, I really appreciate you coming in. Always a great conversation. Live. All right, news, traffic, and sports. Then Mindful Mondays, KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Donald Trump Jr. is set to return to court as the first defense witness in the Trump Organization's civil fraud trial in New York City. Lawyers representing former President Donald Trump, his sons, and their company are set to start their defense today. The Trump Family Organization is being accused of inflating their wealth to obtain better loans. Well, Maryland is taking steps to make sure people never forget some dark days in history. Montgomery County added more markers Saturday to honor 2 black men kidnapped from jail by a mob and lynched. One was in 1880, the other in 1896. A local leader called it long overdue, saying it may have been a different time back then, but the scars are still evident